Good afternoon, about love and happiness, fostering healthy relationships, which is very important. You'll have an opportunity to hear from on the lives of our patients, both physically and mentally. But before I bring them on, I would like to give you some more information about our wonderful physicians. Dr. Sharon James provides OBGYN services at Edgewater Health. Dr. James focuses on helping patients learn to listen to their own bodies while working with their provider to set goals, decrease risk, and to develop and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Her practice offers women the opportunity to experience an integrated, personalized care plan that addresses female health concerns in every phase of life. Now on to Dr. Marshall James, who specializes in family medicine. Dr. James concentrates his practice on the unique opportunity that family medicine provides and treats the family as a unit. Dr. James promotes and encourages each family members to work together in developing healthy lifestyle habits. His approach is to improve the health of patients, families, and communities with education and to focus on spiritual, social, and clinical needs. Won't you please help me welcome to the podium Dr. Sharon and Marshall James.
Okay, we're not going to get
Well,
it.
anyway, get it, please. They want to hear it.
Okay, let's do it. Let me see if I can get it up here.
While she's getting that, guys, hi. I'm the, first I want to thank LaTanya for the wonderful introduction. And she said, I am Dr. Marshall James, and I work for Edgewater Health, providing primary care health, primary care, and addiction medicine. And this is my lovely wife, Sharon.
Hello. And we're going to give you a song. Where's your
Lovely wife, Sharon, who I met in residency trained at Cook County Hospital. She's a board certified OB-GYN physician who also was employed here at Edgewater. Just a little family history I have.
Someone on the phone, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Talking about how she can make you right.
Just a little family history, folks. We have 2 daughters. One who's a school teacher in Florida, and just blessed us with our first granddaughter, who's 18 months. I also have a daughter that attends Howard University in D.C. I guess you could say, yes, and you could say it's definitely true. We fell in love 24 years ago. We're still going strong. And we're interested, and I think we're all interested in understanding how a loving relationship actually can improve your overall health. So, how many of you remember the first time you fell in love? Remember that heart racing a little bit? Yeah. sometimes you get a little few butterflies in your stomach. Is that what?
Oh, yeah. My head was spinning too.
Okay, sometimes your palms get a little sweaty. Well, all these physical experiences that we have are a result of many chemical reactions that occur in our brains when we maintain loving relationship. Sharon, how do you define love?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. Good afternoon, everybody. And I'm so glad you came. We're excited about this topic because that's the question. How does love and how do you define it? So if you think about how you define it, some people think it's like a feeling, and you get all those kind of sensations he was talking about, all those hormonal changes. But really, it's a deep connection that you have for someone that you love and care about. It doesn't have to necessarily be the romantic kind of love, but it's love of your children, love of your community, love of whatever that you're doing. These are the things that are traditionally we think of as love, and love seems to be the key factor in happiness. And happiness and love is what connects us to a lot of wonderful things. So, tell me about those connections you were talking about. You're talking about the sweaty palms and all of that.
Oh, sure. I'm going to talk about that a little later.
Okay.
When you.
But I think the thing we should keep in mind is our brain. It's the love is not in your head. It's actually a physiologic response to what you think and what you feel. So when we think about your heart pumping because you feel in love with someone and you love them, that means that your body is saying to them that you need to your heart races a little bit, which gives your heart a little bit of exercise, positive release. And then also, when you see something beautiful that you love, your pupils dilate because you want to just take it all in. So that's very important for us to remember. Okay, sorry. So it's not in our head. So basically our definition for love is to be deeply committed and connected to a person, someone, or something, and that dictates our happiness. A healthy, reciprocated love with another person or people appears to be that predictor of our health. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So we decided that we're going to break it down into the things that you can ask. What things, how does love and happiness affect your heart, your health?
Well, I think you can heal. I'm sorry, speaking to the microphone. Okay. I think that some of the ways includes healing faster.
Yes, living longer.
Increases your heart health, which I'm going to talk about a little bit.
Actually boosting your immune system.
And by doing that, you feel less aches and pains.
Increasing your physical strength and health.
And actually, in the long run, you are decreasing your likelihood of developing chronic illnesses with keeping
that loving relationship. Right. And then it also combats stress. And I want you to really think about stress. When you're thinking about health, you have to think about the things that affect you in your life. And one of the things that kind of impedes your happiness is the stress that's in your life. Can you think of the things that you go through? Work. Well, if you have little children, raising them. There's things that happen as far as your family, deaths. Then the entire world is a little bit stressed. We just came out of a global pandemic. We haven't recovered completely yet. So that's what's important. We're going to, all of the things we were talking about, we're going to talk about boosting your immune health, We're going to talk about increasing your heart health. Anybody hear about people with heart problems? Yes. 70% of the United States population, or at least, have some kind of problem with their heart, and mostly due to stress. So we're just going to try to change the balance of that we're thinking, and to help you to live longer. So I'm going to talk first about your immune system. Does anybody know where their immune system really is? Where is it? Yes, it is. But 80% of your immunity is in your gut. Who knew? Okay. So upset stomach, see something that's unpleasant, throw up, all of that is your immune system's response to stress. Okay. So it helps to, that is a military type of system. Okay. I want you to know that because people don't think about it like that. Your immune system has the ability to protect you from any foreign invaders, any kind of national security risk kind of things as far as your body is concerned. It has chemicals and hormones and neurotransmitters that help you to produce things that will fight whatever type of infection that you could occur. Okay, so it's natural. It's made and it's created. It was created for us. And so when we think about the studies that they have to measure the likelihood of developing like a cold, just a common cold, how you're going to handle any kind of infection that you have, they look at your immune system. How do you respond? They had a couple of studies. I don't know if you remember the one where they took people and they put them in an environment where they were like in a room with crowded people. It was cold in the room, and they took them and they let them respond to that. They took several groups of people and did this. But before they did it, they asked them a set of questions for about 2 weeks. In that 2-week process, they asked them, how do you feel? Do you feel happy? Do you feel satisfied? Do you have any love relationships? Things like that. And they compared the groups. The people who had more of those social interactions, the ones who were in a loving relationship, those who were satisfied on their job, didn't get sick. How about that? Okay. And the other ones were more likely to, if they noted in their pre-study information that, yes, I'm stressed at work, I don't feel good, I'm tired or whatever. So those are the things how we know that there is physiologic proof that loving relationships, loving contacts actually improve your health. Let me tell you about a hormone that people probably don't think about, but they hear a lot about. Have you ever heard of a hormone called cortisol? Okay. It's a stress hormone, right? Okay, and your body is made by your adrenal gland. You know what the adrenal gland is? Well, maybe not that one, but it's above your kidney. So it's called a suprarenal, or above the renal. It's an adrenal gland. And it produces cortisol in the cortex outside of it. And cortisol is one of those hormones that come out in the morning when you rise in the sun. It comes high with light. It starts to be a little bit lower normally during the night. So those are to keep you awake and energetic all day. Okay? So when you think about your health, think about the way you take in your life. So I tell my patients, and Marcia does too, when it gets in the evening, your cortisol levels are supposed to be low. But if you got that television and that phone, talk to your teenagers, that light is keeping that stress level really high. Really high. And that is the thing that's going to cause you to actually decrease that immune system functioning in your gut. Okay? So it's very important. Those of you who are on night shifts, they talk about that a lot. They work those night shifts, and I've worked a lot of night shifts delivering babies, and I know then my health is better when I can get enough sleep, good quality sleep. So that is another factor we have to think about when we think about our health. The cortisol levels, how they're raising every day in our body. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. So feelings of being energetic, feeling calm, feeling loved, cortisol levels is, it started to come down. Okay, so that's important in our health. So that's how we can tell you that loving relationships, okay, really help us as far as health. Okay. So, Marshall, what about you? You want to talk about the heart?
You're doing good, man. So as she had mentioned, several heart studies have shown that loving relationships actually make your physical heart race. That heart racing feeling you get, when you're in a relationship. And engaging in a conversation with a friend, having family time with children and grandchildren, or working in your backyard with your spouse gives you a good workout, as these loving moments together actually causes your brain to release important substances. And as I mentioned earlier, I was going to talk about some of them. One of them is dopamine. That's the molecule that's released in the brain to a certain part of the brain. I won't get any particular details, but it allows you to feel pleasure and satisfaction and motivation. Unfortunately, my role in addiction medicine also has a problem with this, because all these drugs and fentanyl and everything, of course, stimulates the same area. And I think that that's a problem we still have to deal with, but that's a whole nother subject. So we're going to talk about that probably later. Also, some of the chemicals that's released in the brain is called adrenaline. She mentioned that. That's a particular hormone that's released from the gland on top of the kidneys. And this particular is a fight or flight substance. You might have heard that, speaking nurses and everything, when you're trained and everything, how this particular substance is released. And what it does, it causes your airways to dilate so you can get more oxygen and breathe better. It causes the blood vessels to your muscles to dilate so you get more blood going. And you get prepared to either run or fight, depending on what the circumstances are. But it's also the feeling you get when you're in a loving relationship, when you're with somebody. So, again, all these hormones that we talk about also help strengthen your heart. It causes your heart to contract, and it's pretty much in a healthier state in a loving relationship. Another chemical, norepinephrine, is also a neurotransmitter that's released in the brain. And again, this is one of those chemicals that also increase your heart rate and blood flow to the heart, which is all the healthy things in loving relationships. Okay? And yes, of course, this occurs while you're exercising, physically working out, but it's amazing how simply spending some quality time with the ones that you love holds great benefits for your heart health. That's just a fact.
I think it's amazing because, sometimes we don't get a chance to exercise. We don't get a chance to eat properly. We maybe just grab it and go like most Americans do. They just grab something and keep going. So those times you spend with your children, the one you spend with your spouses, it's actually giving your heart a little workout, a very nice one. A nice workout that helps you to get that heart, that some of the things you get from benefits from exercising. You get it in a kind of smaller quantity, but you're getting it. So making your heart muscle a little bit stronger every time you have these kind of things. So, when you go home, you might want to do a couple of exercises that we tend to do, and it's just really the person that you love, just look deep into their eyes. Just take a good look. You just take a few minutes and just look into their eyes and get that body to respond to that in the same ways we've been talking about. and give you your heart a little bit of a exercise, and also to just give you that sensation of being satisfied and calm. Is that not good after working 8 hours?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what we really recognize. That kind of we try to work on that. Now, I must say, being married, it's work.
That's a challenge.
And so we have to combat the things that we don't agree with those kind of exercises. To kind of let's take some time out and let's just use what we have. It's given to us. It's a blessing to have. Or either even just let's go and do something for someone else that we care about. It's going to do the same kinds of things. So those are easy ways that we can affect our health. So the last thing we're going to talk about is something that I think should be on every billboard, is that a loving relationship lengthens your life. Now this is scientifically proven. Lengthens your life. People who tend to live longer, they know people who get into their 90s and their 80s, they usually have very good relationships with their family, their friends, their church family, their spouses. And that's because it increases the life expectancy, because it decreases some of the big problems that leads to our decreased longevity, which is stress. So stress is one of those things that, even though it has very negative consequences, guess what? We sometimes get a little addicted to it. Gotta get on our job. Gotta get an OR. Can't be late. Do you hear what I'm saying? So that's important for us to think about. We need to know, what do we do to improve our health, and one of the things is to try to decrease stress. If you don't sleep well enough, you want to say anything about that?
Oh,
As an obstetrician gynecologist, I know everything you can tell me about not getting sleep. And so, unfortunately, my loving husband has to deal with, and he says this: you need to go to sleep time. That's what you need right now. When I'm upset because when you don't have sleep, you really can't function properly. Can anyone tell me how they are when they're feeling sleepy, when they're tired, and they got to keep pushing? Yes. So stress is one of the main things we want to make sure that we're going to try to work on, because it gives us longevity. When you retire, a lot of people retire and they really don't retire, but they still maintain their longevity because they've been able to maintain and sustain those loving relationships. Cortisol levels are down. You're going to have more dopamine kind of levels are going to increase. This is going to give you those feelings of love and satisfaction, and that helps your overall health. Okay. Now, we're going to. One more thing. Oh, well, we're just about through with those things. That's just 3 of the areas we're meeting today, talking about your immune system. Do not let us tell you that you don't need to do the other things you've been told to do. Eat healthy, right? Get your sleep and exercise. Your physical exercise is important too. You need to do that, keep your body going, and keep your body young and healthy. So, any other So we can open it up for questions if anybody has some questions, or if you have something that you would like to share about how you feel that your loving relationship, a relationship with your children, relationship with your neighbors, whatever they are, have helped you in your health. Anyone? Yeah.
What are some of your tips if you have a mate who doesn't necessarily follow your guidelines of healthy eating like you do? You're trying to align and not trying to do so much extra work as far as, okay, I cook this meal for me, and then I cook this meal for you, but you don't gain any restricted diet or opportunities to be more healthy? How do you draw that balance, or do you have that?
I'm talking about us. You're talking about us. I really did. No, you want to talk? Well, the truth of the matter, I have diabetes. Okay, everyone in my family has. I know you're looking, where is this diabetes at? It's here. Okay. So my father had it. His father, his mother, my mother's mother, my mother's father, my brother, my sister, and even some of my young nieces. We're that family that has diabetes. So, you know, I can't eat the sugar. Do I love the sugar? Absolutely. But I have to do this. So what I do is, first of all, I did this thing, and it didn't work. You can tell it in our family at first. So we had this soda pop and Cokes and, you know, all that juices and things like that going on in the family. And I just didn't buy them. I didn't. So I started bringing in water. And guess what? In a few months, we were all on water.
Yep.
So you just have to introduce it in increments. It's my thing.
I cheat every now and then, but most of the time. To be honest, you know.
Yeah, he should tell me I can't go down that aisle. My wife won't let me go there. We can take the chip aisle, you know, things like that. But we actually didn't have any. We stopped snacking as much, and we started trying to it just added into our diet. So you can't force people. If you tell them, you know, don't bring any cookies, I can't have this. Guess what? They're going to be in the drawer. They're going to be, you know, they're going to find a way to get them in. So that's what I would advise. Any other thoughts?
Well, I'm sure LaTanya's going to have a talk about healthier eating and stuff like that. I'm sure that's coming up,
Yeah.
so we can talk about that, more about that
Yes.
another time, right?
So one of the questions I would like to ask is, what can you give us advice on, as, you know, everyone have disagreements. So how can we have a healthy disagreement, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's your your children and parents, friends? What advice would you be able to give us as far as having healthy disagreements?
You better say that.
Well, certainly, you know, during our 24 years of marriage, we've had our disagreements, and I think that's pretty common in healthy relationships and marriages. Oh, talk louder.
Yes.
Okay. And my approach has been, which is not always in agreement with, we discuss whatever the situation is, try to come to some type of resolution, and you might come at the end and say, well, yeah, we both agree to disagree on this particular subject. But usually I like to get it out, get it done, and move on. Of course, my wife, very emotional lady, she likes to talk. Well, I let her talk.
Well, you know what? He's right. I agree we need to talk about it. But
But it's good, though.
it's good because you know what? I'm going to say this particularly to women, and probably men too, but a lot of times when it comes to a disagreement, sometimes women feel like they don't have a voice. So to the men and the husbands out there, when your wife is screaming, she was saying it, you know, a couple months ago. She was just regular talk. So sometimes it's just a matter of like, take the time and listen. Listen. So I think, oh, you're good, you're good. No, he's a good,
Doing better.
he's a good listener. In fact, his mother, when when I first met him, she's gone past now. She had an expressive aphasia. She had a stroke in a part of her brain that caused her not to be able to say words, but with difficulty. And she would come in and she would try to talk, get her express what she was saying. And my wonderful husband sat just like this and let her just go through it as long as it took until she was done. And see, that's that's what I'm saying. That's a kind of an exaggerated example, but that's exactly what we're talking about when you're talking about, you give me some instruction. When you're talking about combating that urge to let it escalate to a level where you can't feel that loving relationship, and the person that you love is now like, I don't know why I married him. Who is that guy? You know, that kind of thing. You know, that's what you have to do. You have to like just kind of sit back and listen, and that's on both sides.
Yes. Any other questions?
I have a question. Sometimes we tend to take our spouses, our partners, for granted.
Oh, yeah.
And what are some of the things that we could do, tips that would help us become more in tune with each other?
Great question. Everybody hear that?
Could you repeat that question, please?
Yeah. The gentleman is saying that sometimes we take our spouses for granted. Wives do it, husbands do it. What can we do to decrease that? What can we do to help us? What tools can we use to think about how we can improve on that?
Actually, that's very true. I have a tendency to do it with my wife. She's a great cook, loves to keep the house clean, and I like to come in and just sit back and relax. Not doing those chores. But actually, I think that, I guess getting on the same page with your partner and spouse as far as some of the things that's important to you in the relationship, and I'm doing much better. I'm recognizing some of the things that needs to be done, say in the house, say with certain chores and everything. Perhaps you can sit down and say, hey, you know what, I got this little list here, you know, to-do list. Maybe we can see, you can write down what really needs to be done, and let me take a look at it and see what I can do. Different things like that. There's different approaches. I think that's kind of where we at right now.
Yeah.
What suggestions would you have?
I think it happens both ways. You know, women are talkers, emotional. Men are very practical. You know, they go the quick way. The hair isn't combed, put a hat on. All right, move on. You know, that's the kind of thing. So we have to kind of realize that we do approach things from a different point of view. You know, so when you start to think about it, for me, you know, when my daughter started to date, you know, somehow every guy was a bum. I don't know. I said, you know, can we meet the guy? He's not right. You know, whatever. So I think that that's just a natural instinct in a father to protect their daughters and sons. It's just the way it is, and particularly women. So I have to think. So he's doing his father thing, and she's trying to date this guy, and the guy's, you know, shaking and scared, you know, what to deal with. We have to, you know, just recognize that some of the things they're doing is actually just who they are as men and who we are as women, and try to, you know, keep that in mind when we're saying, don't do that, you know, don't say that like that, or whatever we're doing as a woman life. They had another question in the back.
Really?
They ended up changing the question now. Off of what you just said, as far as communication, I noticed, speaking on behalf, I'm not married, but in my relationship, communication becomes a problem because we can talk the same, but we hear different. What are some techniques or some ways which you can kind of perfect that communication between listening to another and yourself?
Well, you know how it goes. Sometimes when you have a conversation and you come to a disagreement, sometimes it's simple. So you can say, well, so what you're saying is, and you run it back.
Yeah.
Well, my understanding is this. Can you tell me again?
Yes, I think that's a very
That's
good
one way to
tool.
get started.
We've used too as a couple, especially with both being in medicine and having, you know, a lot of things to juggle on each end. I think that it's, you know, what I'm hearing is not what he's saying. It's exactly what you said. So you have to repeat it. So you said this. Is what you mean? No, that's not what I mean. I mean, okay, what do you mean? And just listen. Yeah. It helps.
And if the spirits are kind of high at that time, you can say, honey, can we kind of reapproach this later on? Let's let the tempers and things, let's talk about it again. I don't know any perfect ways to approach it, but.
No, but I think also too you can use your tools that we're talking about for health and for your increasing your immune system. Just take some time. Okay, you know what? Let's have a glass of wine. Okay, we'll pick some red wine, and let's talk a little later. Or we can say, you know, we'll just say, let me just look at you. Let me just focus and take you all in, kind of thing. I mean, just those kind of things help a lot.
And listening, guys, you can't stress it enough. You got to be a good listener. That's just all it is to it.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
If I'm having a stressful,
Speak up, I'm sorry.
if I'm having a stressful day at work, what are some tips that I can use to kind of like relax myself without zoning out?
There's a lot of things. Well, I know it's good to have someone that lives in your house and kind of knows your routine. That's one thing. Because my husband comes out on his late days from work. He is hungry. Okay. He wants to see what's going on with the sports world. And he just wants to relax. So if I come in and say, honey, you know what? This particular thing didn't work today, and blah, blah, you know, yeah. So you gotta have that communication with the people in your house, people you love. You know, for me, if I've been on call for 24 hours, I've been doing deliveries, I don't want to see no Jesus in the sink. That is a disqualifier for me. So they know, oh, mom's coming home, so let's get the dishes out of the sink, because you don't want to see that. So some of the things are that, and then to actually take, I would say, embrace the things that you know what you want to do when you go home. You want to just kind of chill, then try to embrace those yourself. Yes.
Yeah. I got that part when I'm at home. I'm talking about like when I'm at work.
I'm sorry.
What can I do? Because you know you have to stay tuned in while you're working. So what do I do for quick tips to help me if I feel like I'm being stressed out?
Well, for me, which I can really appreciate that question, there's usually a lot of stressful things going on labor and delivery at all times. So I've started putting some on my phone at 6 a.m., 6 p.m. I put a little thing on my phone that reminds me, it's a timer that says, pray and breathe. Pray and breathe. So if I'm doing something, it alarms me. I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm just going to say a prayer. Be grateful. Think of the good things I'm thankful for. Take some really good deep breaths. So that's one thing you can do that's quick. You know, you can remember that. But sometimes you can communicate with other coworkers too. Look, you know what? I'm getting a little stressed, and I do want to stay in my level of professionalism right now. So you're going to have to give me like 5 minutes. 2 minutes. So those are some of the things. And then if you're allowed to do something or to see something that on your phone that makes you feel happy, if it's a beautiful piece of art, if you can take a second and listen to some music or meditate. Music would be good for him. He doesn't, yeah, just a little bit of that will bring you down.
All right.
Give our doctor
Yeah. Yeah.
prior to marriage, for the ones that are thinking about marriage, still single, is there any advice you can give them on what to
counselor.
That's a good question. You say premaritally, what kind of things do you do to prepare? Yeah. So when we were engaged, we had a really nice pastor who really just went through, dealt with us, and brought up all kinds of things that we didn't think about. To kind of just to address. But I think the best thing I'll say for single women is to really take the time when you're singleness to really know who you are. That would just be my personal advice for women and men. A lot of times people spend a lot of time trying to date and all of that, and they really should really be dealing with them. Deal with those issues, and then by the time you're ready to get married, you've already addressed them. So, thanks so much.
Let's give them another hand.
Thank you.
This was awesome and valuable information. Wouldn't you agree? And knowing one another's love language, not only your spouse, but your children, your friends, just sitting around, a lot of times I believe that we have to get back to what we grew up on. When my children was growing up, me and my husband, who's sitting back there, thank you, honey, for your support. We used to work together as a team. We had 3 little ones that had to go to school, had soccer, baseball, softball, cheerleading, swim team, everything. And we had to learn how to work together. And then just knowing one another love language. I knew that when he came in from work, because my husband worked nights, just give him a little bit of time to settle down before I got in the honeydew. And before I start saying, Archer got to be here, Kriana have to be here, Aaron have to be there. Just give him a little time to just settle down, and then he knows my love language. Sometimes just leave her alone. If she's quiet, if she's in the room, I'm not upset. I just needed some me time. And that wine thing, sometimes he had to, bring me a little glass of wine, just chill me out. To say, you know what, honey, I got it. I got the homework. I'm going to finish, if I cook, he's going to do the dishes. If I, do one thing, he's going to do the other. So just learning one another's love language is what we need to keep in mind for developing healthy relationships. Thank you, doctors. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support and just being here. I want to thank you all for coming. And also, don't forget, we're here each and every 3rd Thursday of each month. Next month, we're going to be hearing from our very own Chief Officer, Human Resources, Raylyn Crockett, that is right back there. She's going to be speaking on the balancing act of life and well-being. Again, thank you all for coming to Mind, Body, and Spirit. Many times we know what to do for the mind, we know what to do for the body, but we don't always know what to do emotionally, the spirit. Thank you all for coming, and I'll see you next